Are you an e-commerce business struggling with your PPC performance or worried about how you can better integrate AI into Amazon? Today's episode is meant for you. Today, I'll be speaking with the CEO and co founder of PPC Ninja. She is an excellent mind, a great speaker. I've seen her multiple times at multiple different events, notably ASGTG. Shout out to that event. Best conference food ever. And we're going to talk a lot today about PPC Ninja, her company, and more about how you can better adapt to the AI world and integrate AI into your business. Today's guest is Ritu Java. All right. Well, I am very excited to have you on. I was just talking about how I saw you speak a few times now at a few different conferences. So this is very exciting to have you on as a guest, and we can talk more about PPC Ninja, but also again, like I mentioned earlier, those AI hacks. So, Ritu, it's a pleasure to have you on as a guest.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I love the topic. It's going to be free for flowing, but it's going to be fun. And yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to do, I have to give all my guests a chance and all my audience members who um, might not know you. I'd like to give you a chance to kind of tell us how you got into the industry and give us a little bit of background on yourself and also PPC Ninja. And again, really just how you got involved in the e-commerce world.
Yeah, so I love data. I love marketing, and somehow I found myself at the crossroads of data and marketing. I'm an engineer by background, and I grew up in India. Spent about 17 years in Japan. Started my first kind of e-commerce business when I was in Japan. It was a jewelry business that I started on Etsy, and really use that opportunity to teach myself marketing and data. And then I went back to school. I went back to school in the United States, left Japan, and then you know, uh, as luck would have it, I couldn't get a visa, like a work visa in the US, so I ended up in Canada, which was super easy to get it to. So now it's been like almost 8 years here in Canada. I'm now a Canadian citizen, and I'm also a permanent resident of Japan, and kind of go between these two countries, and it's fun.
Very cool.
How I got into PPC Ninja, so I started the agency in 2020, and it's been fun serving all kinds of brands, big brands, small brands. So we serve 7 to 9 figure sellers and help them in various capacities, including advertising on Amazon, advertising on Walmart, Google, and then more recently we've been helping with AI creatives, listing optimization, AI ready listings, and also AI workflows. So yeah,
Love
we're
it.
kind of all in the e-commerce ecosystem, but our goal is to help brands grow profitably.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm excited to get into all those different areas and kind of ask you a few other questions about just about PPC Ninja and more about the industry itself, e-commerce as a whole. That's so interesting. You lived in Japan. I don't think I knew that. Um, I'm actually learning a little Japanese on my Duolingo app. Very into the basics.
Konnichiwa.
I know
Konnichiwa.
I know konnichiwa. I didn't actually we haven't even done that yet.
Okay.
We've done like
Oh,
bengoshi, which is like we did lawyer. I don't know why I'm learning the word for lawyer. Yeah,
wow. That's
isha,
interesting.
doctor,
Doctor.
uh, what else? Yashashi, nice, kind,
Oh, kind.
um,
Yeah.
and a few other just, like, Duolingo is very fun, I like it, but I wonder why I'm
Yeah.
learning some of the words that I'm learning, but in any case, I'll have to check in with you in a year, we'll have another episode, and we'll
Yeah.
do the whole thing in Japanese. Maybe not, I might not be that
That's a
good
good
yet,
idea.
but one of the things speaking of this is a great transition, speaking of words,
Mm.
very, very broad topic. But speaking of words, one of the things that I noticed on the PPC Ninja homepage is a few things that stood out to me is that it's framed as a data-driven advertising, AI-powered creatives, Rufus optimized listings, and cutting-edge automation. I noticed all of those different pieces, and you just kind of also went over that as well. Can you, to start, can you break down how all of these things come together in a typical engagement with a seller, or how all of these things really drive success in the e-commerce world? I know that's
Mhm.
sort of a broad topic, but again, I really noticed that those really popped out at me on your website.
Mhm. Yeah. So we originally started with just focusing on PPC. And we noticed that, the one KPI that always got us was conversion rate, which basically means that, when you have a high conversion rate, everything is good because you only need a few clicks to make a sale, right? And so everything with PPC goes very smoothly, and you're able to kind of convert faster, and so you spend less and you earn more. The profitability is there. However, not all listings have a high conversion rate. So if your conversion rate is low, let's say below 10%, then chances are you're going to be running a very high ACoS because you'll need more clicks and the average CPC is going up and up and up. And so you're going to be spending more and more and more to get less and less and less. So we started helping our clients with listing optimization as well, because we realized that if their listings aren't high converting, then PPC becomes pointless after a certain point. So we were able to set up great campaigns, wonderful structure, but at the end of the day, we couldn't deliver. And so we had to get into AI and listing optimization as well. Um, so with listing optimization, it's not just SEO. Like, we're not just trying to get the right keywords in, because of course that's an important part, but we're trying to make these listings ready for this new era of conversational e-commerce. And what I mean by conversational e-commerce is that, people are no longer making the effort to come up with the right keywords to find the products that they're looking for. On the other hand, they're actually kind of trying to have more conversations with LLMs and, basically typing in fairly complex queries that need an answer that is beyond just a keyword, right? So we've all seen our behaviors change over the past 2 years. Like, we used to just Google it, and now we chat it. Like, we ask ChatGPT a complex query, not
Right.
just I need product A, B, or C. So, in order to prepare listings for this era of conversational e-commerce, you have to really, really um, plan out your content strategy. You can't just throw up a listing. You can't just have the best, let's say, keyword research tools and expect to have a stellar listing. It's got to be kind of multi-pronged approach, and keeping the audience in mind rather than just an algorithm. Because previously we used to all write for A9, which is like the Amazon algorithm for search visibility or searchability. And now we have Cosmo, which powers Rufus.
Right.
And so we had to really dig ourselves into, that whole Rufus research, and try to figure out what Rufus was looking for, like what signals is Rufus looking for in order to recommend products to customers, right? And so Rufus gets to be the kind of new gatekeeper, if you will, and this gatekeeper needs to be trained. And the thing is, training this gatekeeper is not an overnight task. It requires like actual signals. It requires convincing and compelling listings that people actually engage with and actually convert, and any negative signals are picked up as well as any positive signals. So your negative reviews, well, they're going to be in your face all the time because you have that history, and so Rufus is going to just amplify that. Even if you have one negative review, it's going to show up in that Rufus Q&A prompt box. So the transition that we went through as an agency kind of reflects the need of the hour and what people need at this time with their listings. And so I'm pretty happy with how we've integrated both these services, because they are kind of complementary, and they uh, basically stand for a flywheel effect that we can control end to end, and that's the reason for this shift.
Yeah. Even before Rufus, I was very big on, um, content advertising, of course, are the two most important pieces of the Amazon puzzle. But if I had to pick one, I almost want to pick the
Yeah.
content because
Hmm.
I think you can have, like you said, you can have bad content and it's not going to convert. But if you have good content and slightly okay advertising, you might still do well because the content's
Yeah.
good. So I know you're
Yeah.
obviously the CEO of a PPC agency,
Yeah.
but I lean more towards content. Sue me.
Hmm. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's very interesting too with the whole AI Rufus transformation. Chat it. I've never heard that phrase before, but it makes perfect sense. Um, a little scary. I have been saying this on the past like 4 or 5 episodes that we've recorded. I'm a little scared of how AI might take over the world. Um, So, I am in that category a little bit, but it is I can't deny the fact that it is really the new Google for product searching. We say GEO or generative engine optimization, where if your product is not good, not even just for Rufus, but for ChatGPT or Gemini or any of them, if your
Right.
product doesn't show up there, then in 5, 10 years, you might be obsolete or you might have a really hard time. So yeah,
Hmm.
so very, very interesting
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
where that's headed. But the other thing too, kind of differentiating and going into more of the services, you mentioned, Google and Walmart ads, and of course, Amazon ads, and also, I believe, DSP, was on there. How kind of going in more of a now that we've let's say, like, I own a seller, I sell, I wish, 8 figures a month, and I'm working with PPC Ninja. How do you help how would you help my business determine which channel is most optimal for my type of products? Is it just where we already exist? Do you help us branch out more? What kind of determines that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to take us back to the mission statement that we have at BPC Ninja, and we like to deliver profitable growth. That's kind of our mission statement. So, because we have these two words, profitable and growth, kind of side by side, we're committed and we're almost obsessed with the idea of profitability and growth simultaneously. Like, it's not just profits, it's not just growth. So a lot of agencies will talk about ranking. They'll say, we'll get you on page one. That seems to be their kind of big message, within 2 weeks or 3 months or whatever, we'll get you on page one. Yeah, anyone can do that, but it comes at a cost, and most businesses cannot sustain that cost. It's very expensive to kind of just try to push ranking and not worry about profitability. Yes, in most cases, the rank, if it's sticky, will result in profitability over a period of time, but then you have to wait whatever six months to a year to even start seeing any profits, and by then a lot of small sellers especially are already out of business because they can't afford it, they can't sustain
Right.
it. So that's why we started with that, important mission or vision statement of like, we've got to make sure that these two things are met simultaneously. And so, how are we different? We are very picky about the ad strategy that we settle on for any new client that we onboard. So, we'll definitely go through a PPC audit first to see where the gaps are. We're not the agency that would go and start from scratch. We won't say, okay, these ads are garbage, let's start again. That's not something we do. We're very careful about any campaigns that have history. Even if it's bad history, it can be optimized. But history is history because you spent a lot of money as a seller. You've spent a lot of money training the algorithm about what's good, what's not good, what's a negative keyword, etc. So we don't just trash that information or that data. We keep it. Um, which is not to say that we continue to bleed money for you, but we'll optimize it to a point that we can still extract the best parts and only let go of the parts that are absolutely not useful. So that's one thing that's again different from what we do. And then this decision of whether we should run ad type A or B or C or D, whether we should or shouldn't run DSP, all of that boils down to kind of what the goals of that business are,
Mhm.
and whether it is the right type of product for a DSP, for example, whether it's the right type of product for like a visual appeal through video ads, or if it's just a simple, straightforward Me Too product that just has a little bit of uh, kind of keyword choice that we can run ads with. So again, it'll totally depend on what the product is and what the category is. Just to give you an example, a lot of people talk about DSP and they say, oh, if you want to grow your business, you have to run DSP because it's going to give you awareness, and then that will translate into down the line it'll translate into sales because those people are warmed up and they know your brand, etc. But the truth of the matter is that I would say a large percentage of shoppers on Amazon simply go for the lowest price product that they see on top of the search results page. Like, literally, that's their modus operandi. They'll just go there and they'll type a keyword and they'll find three or four very similar looking products and see,
Right.
oh, this one is $2 cheaper. Let me go for this. And so where does brand awareness go at that point? It just goes out the window. So brand awareness is great for brands where there is a brand equity already. There's a there's a mind share for that brand, and you want to maintain it. And so for that purpose, being in people's top of mind is good. It's good
Right.
for those brands to keep spending money on awareness type of ads with DSP. But DSP might also be very good for people who are trying to, let's say, acquire new customers because they can um, sell to them over and over and over again. So let's say a supplements brand or a consumable or something that has a repeat purchase rate that's greater than 1.5, I would say is a good candidate for DSP. And of course, the price point also matters. Like if you're selling a $5 product, a DSP is an overkill, I would say, because it's impression based. You're getting charged for impressions, not clicks. And so for the most part, you know, these sorts of decisions of should we do CPC or should we do CPM, or should we do video ads, top of search or rest of search, uh, whether we should suppress product pages because that's the worst converting. So all of these decisions get taken like as we're setting up an account, as we're onboarding them, and then we have a very collaborative arrangement, like talking to them and uh, on a monthly basis and sending a lot of data their way. Like every week, we have a fairly comprehensive weekly report that gives people an idea of what changed, like week over week, sales dropped, ACOS increased, all the good, bad, and ugly, everything goes into that report. We don't hide anything. Like if the numbers say so, we're going to show that and we're going to find out what the reason is. We'll investigate that and we'll provide the reason as well. And so the reporting piece is super important for us. And then just to say it, like internally, how do we keep track of, things going wrong, for example, fires happening? Because Amazon's advertising environment is a very dynamic, kind of forever changing environment, and you need to be aware of like what's going on. And can we afford to have a team member looking at those numbers 24/7? Probably not, right? So then how do we know whether things are on track or off track? So we built a lot of automations
Yeah.
to actually alert us when things go off, right? So we have anomaly detection systems in place so that they tell us when something is going beyond our threshold for 2 days or 3 days. So we've set those up so that we can be highly efficient in the way we look at accounts, and we get informed when there's a sign of a fire or smoke alarm, goes off somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
that's kind of how we operate.
I love the anomaly detection tool. I thought that was a great tool to have, especially again when you can't have someone monitoring it 24/7. Um, I'm a big fan of if you can share any real world examples of how this anomaly detection tool, it's a tongue twister, has
Yeah.
prevented any giant fires from happening, or if you have any examples from that you can share of how this stopped a massive loss in sales or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so let's break down the kind of fundamentals of the anomaly detection system.
Mhm.
So first of all, we're streaming in data from SP API. So the selling part of API gives you orders data, right? And it streams it right into our databases. Then we have the ads data, again, comes streaming in right into our database. Then we have Keepa, which comes in, it basically is price tracking for competitors as well as our own product. um, and we have, a bunch of systems that tell us whether a product is in or out of stock,
Mhm.
so that those are reasons for why something might not be working, etc., for troubleshooting, diagnosis, and stuff like that. So all of this data coming into a BigQuery database, and based on that, we've kind of built SQL statements and triggers and scheduled queries that will run on the data, look for patterns like 2 days in a row. So let's say, oh, you have a one-off event like ACOS spiked yesterday. Okay, so that maybe comes down the next day. It's not a big deal. Sometimes it happens, especially with low data sufficiency. You have one sale today and you have zero sales tomorrow, but you have 5 clicks, and that's, your e-commerce spikes there,
Right.
but it comes back the next day. So it's like up and down, up and down. That's how Amazon is, right?
Right.
Especially with low data volumes. But if something is happening 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row, then it's cause for concern because it's not a one off, it's a two off, right? And if that's the case, we want to know so that we can go in and check. And so we have different thresholds. So every team member has, like in a Google spreadsheet, we kind of note down what the important thresholds are for each account. So let's say account A is very sensitive about their tacos number going above, let's say, 8%. And they're also very sensitive about the tacos number going below 4%. They don't want to spend less, they don't want to spend more. There's a band they want to maintain, right? And so those two criteria plus an event that happens 2 days in a row gets sent to us as an email, and it gets sent to the team member and gets sent to their manager, to the brand success manager, and to me. So I get all the alerts in the company. So every day I can scan through PPC automated alerts, and I can see all of the alerts across all of our accounts and know what's going on at a very high level. And of course, the actual team member will go in and their job is to go investigate, and then they will do a copy all so that everybody can see what they investigated and what action they took. So that's kind of our SOP
Wow.
for anomaly detection. Mhm.
Wow. I was going to ask about how you manage to make it sound very podcasty, how you manage the intersection of human strategy and machine execution in the workflow. And it sounds like that's my answer right there. That's very sharing
Mhm.
the data. I think is a
Yeah,
very big important piece of the learning that I feel a lot of maybe people these days are somewhat missing.
right.
So that's great to know that it's being shared everywhere. Um, my dad's
Yeah.
a big data manager
Oh,
guy, so he loves
cool.
his SOPs,
Uh-huh.
and
That's
he
awesome.
always tells me, he's like, "When you do something at work, why don't you just write that down for the next person?" And I always say, "I hope there's not a next podcaster, no offense to anyone out there that wants to get into Amazon podcasting, but do it somewhere else. Velocity is full." Uh, um, but he's very big on that. He's very big on
Mm,
sharing the data.
yeah.
So that's awesome. Again, yeah, it
Mhm.
read my mind, answered my question. So, um, but yeah, no, the other piece of this too, and we talked a little about automation and a little bit about the PPC Ninja and a lot of what you guys can do, um, and how you use AI and all this stuff to better this is a lot of this anomaly. I can't even say it. I'm gonna say ADT, anomaly detection tool. Is a lot of that
Yeah.
AI, or is that, and I know you just kind of went over it a little bit, but is a lot of those rule-based softwares or a lot of these rule-based detection pieces, is that
Mhm.
manually inputting, like you said with the tacos example, or is that, "Hey, AI, monitor this, look for these different things in here?"
Mhm. Yeah, so in this case, this is pure automation.
Mm,
It has nothing to do with AI. Where AI comes in is helping us write the code to detect this
mm,
stuff.
mm.
So like, none of us on my team are like expert programmers. Like, I don't identify as a programmer, even though I have some basic grounding in, tech. I'm an engineer, so I did, electronics engineering in the last year of my college. I also did computer science, but it's not like I identify as a programmer, so I'm not coding all day long. But I know enough to be able to tell LLMs what I want, and I can write a decent description of a SQL statement, for example. I will ask Claude, which is my favorite for coding and stuff. I will ask Claude to give me an app script, a Google app script that'll read from a particular table, which is joined from 4 or 5 different sources. I would say, hey, go to this table and find me anomalies for this account. ID is equal to blah, 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 where 2 days in a row is, exceeding the threshold value that's recorded in this other spreadsheet. So with all these pieces, like I just spelled out all the pieces that I need to run that SQL statement. And then Claude will give me that, right? And I will take that SQL statement, I will go to BigQuery, I'll put it in the query editor, and then I'll say save query and run it on a schedule, for example. And that running on a schedule could be something I decide whether I want my alerts to go every day or once a week, or depending on, how frequently I want to view that data. Mostly it's daily. So, some things we just need to know every day, whether, something dropped, something changed. We want that information daily. So all of that, design happens with the AI, but the actual implementation is fairly straightforward. It's SQL. It's SQL. It's basically code.
Yeah. Wow. And, it's like I said, AI, it definitely has its uses. I cannot
Yeah.
deny that as someone that is scared of it a little bit and not afraid to admit it. It definitely has its uses. Um, while we're on the topic of AI, I'd love to get into some of the any new hacks that you have in either Google Sheets or any other platforms. I know we talked a lot about the data managing potential of Google Sheets and of using Gemini in Google Sheets. And I know you said you're not a programmer, but essentially, I guess programming the AI to do these different tasks for you. What are some of your favorites, and are there any new ones that I might have missed somehow on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, so for most general tasks, I love ChatGPT. It works really well, and I've kind of gotten very comfortable with it because it's easy and it understands my style, and it's gotten used to me, and
Right.
it remembers a lot of me more than any of the other tools do. Like for example, Claude will sound like a stranger, whereas Claude sounds like a friend. Sorry, GPT sounds like a friend, and Claude sounds like a stranger. And then Gemini, I haven't made friends with it yet. Like Gemini is one of my least favorite.
Oh,
Even though it's smart, it's getting better and better and better. But Gemini will remind me when I make a spelling mistake. And with ChatGPT, I don't care. Like
yeah,
my fingers are flying across the
right,
keyboard. I'm saying, give me this, give me this, give me this. And it'll ignore all my spelling errors. And I don't bother to go back and change the spelling because I know it's going to get it, right? And so I've gotten used to ChatGPT in the sense that it's forgiving, it treats me like the boss, and I'm fine with that. With Gemini, yesterday I was asking Gemini something, and it said, "Oh, I think I misspelled Amazon. I said something Amaxgon or something like that." And it's saying, "You typed XTON. You probably meant Amazon. Hey, I don't need to know that. Just do it.
yeah.
Just do
It
your
you know what I'm talking about, like, you
yeah,
clearly
you know what I'm
understand,
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, you clearly understand. So yeah, I think in that sense, I think Gemini is it's surprising how Google manages to to have so many projects,
Mhm,
so many labs, that whole experimental mindset of let's spin up 50 teams that do almost the same thing, and
right,
they'll all somehow figure it out, and one of them will be a winner, and we'll stick with that. And then they keep changing their names, their terminology, and just a lot of stuff, right? Like there's Flow, there's VO, there's VO3, there's Imagine, it's this and that. So AI Studio today is there, tomorrow it's not there. Like
right,
they keep evolving so fast that I don't find stability in that ecosystem, even though their Google App space is very cool. I mean, it's been solid. It
right.
hasn't changed much,
It's
and
Google.
that's I love that about it.
Yep.
It's Google. Yeah, that part, workspace is perfect. I mean, it works really, really predictably. Although some of their new tools that come and go, like data form or data table, and there's a few others that come and go, and they deprecate it without, really caring about the people who've invested time in those platforms. But yeah, I would say Claude is, really, really solid when it comes to programming. And I've noticed that the way Claude talks to me, even though it feels like a little bit of a stranger, but it is a very kind of empathetic stranger that won't, assume too much. It knows that I am, asking from a perspective of someone who doesn't know, right? And
Mm,
so it won't spit out the most advanced sounding stuff. It'll calibrate to the way the question has been presented, and it'll kind of give me a reasonable response based on that. And then if I ask it to slow down, if I say give it to me step by step,
right,
it'll really slow down. Like it really understands how I want that data or that information to be delivered to me. So I really like Claude for that reason. And now Claude has a lot of these like artifacts. You can actually create these little apps, these little programs that they call artifacts,
Hmm.
and the artifacts can actually be published to the web, and they become like mini tools,
Huh.
and you can use them. Yeah, I mean it's really cool.
It's
So for example, yeah,
I would say it's so funny you bring
sorry,
up
go ahead.
Claude. My buddy from high school,
Mm,
is
yeah,
a I'm not gonna say his name because maybe his employer might watch us not
yeah,
like it, but he
yeah, yeah.
loves Claude. And he says the same thing about it, how it remembers what he
hmm
needs. I should ask him if he
What he
has any.
needs,
I'm
yeah,
sure he's one of the smartest people I know, so I'm sure he's probably published a few of those artifacts.
yeah,
I'll have to see if he's. I didn't know that you could do that. It's
right,
very interesting, but please continue.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so artifacts is really impressive because artifacts can be like mini tools, right? So for example, a while ago I created like this time zone converter for my team kind of tool, which I basically said create this JavaScript interface where I can enter something and I get something back, right? It's just like a calculator or a input output form of sorts, right? So I say if I enter this, give me something back, and that can easily be converted into an artifact that is published. So there's a publish button on the top right corner of your Claude chat. And that's basically the way you can actually spin up all these different nice looking interfaces, and you can even instruct it to make them look pretty, and they're standalone, so you can share them with other people, etc., etc. So other people can use the same apps that you're creating. So yeah, I think Artifacts has a bunch of good stuff there. Additionally, you can also connect Claude to your desktop. So
Hmm.
if you download the desktop version, it can actually go and find stuff in your directory structure or your folders and so on, and can give you stuff quickly. It can search for stuff in your system and help you out that way. So yeah, so that's again, new and upcoming. Um, yeah, other than that, there's new agentic stuff that's coming out, right? So people talk about agents. For agents, I'm leaning more towards make.com, where agentic workflows require some, you know, like a workflow. It
Hmm.
needs a few steps that it needs to complete, and you want to give it the like you want to make it as autonomous as possible so that it knows what to do, where to pick stuff from, and choose different paths if it needs to make decisions on your behalf, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm finding make.com to be good for those sorts of activities.
I might have to get the Claude desktop. I didn't know they could do that. I'm sure it's much better than I don't even remember what Microsoft's is called anymore. Um, I feel like I get a
Yeah,
notification from
Copilot.
that. Something I think
Yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
not as good as other ones. I forget what it is, but um,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. But in any case, I
Yeah.
would need something like that to help clear out my computer. I'm always big on uploading everything to Google and then just deleting it off of my computer to keep it running as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Claude might be able to better do that for me. So, like I said, I'm scared of AI, but I know it has its uses. I'll say it a million times if I said it once. Um, but you also have a Amazon. I'm forgetting now, but I know you have an Amazon focused AI bot. Am
Newsletter. Oh,
my boss Stephanie loves it.
well,
And she always says she throws it in for I think she uses it for documents, for like legal documents, or wording it correctly. Um, so she handles that. So I don't, but she would
okay.
definitely want me to mention that she loves your
Oh,
bot.
okay.
So,
Oh,
uh,
cool. Oh, cool.
so
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that I've created. So there's GPTs. What you're
I
referring
think
to as
so.
a bot is GPT.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of GPTs that I've created that are public. For example, there's one that checks your listings against Amazon TOS. So Amazon has some strict guidelines around like how long your title should
Right.
be, or the use of certain words, or not duplicating words in your title. So it does all that, and it gives you like a consolidated, like a better version, and it also tells you what it changed and why. So that's one. There's another one that I have, which is something that converts a long list of keywords into a very compressed list of broad match modifier
Yes.
keywords ready to go kind of thing. So yeah, there's a few that I created that I use mostly internally for our agency.
Right. And I think she likes them as well, for the ones that are public.
Oh,
So I know she would want me to again to
yeah.
say thank you to you for that. So
Oh, thank you.
going
Appreciate it.
going a little bit back to PPC Ninja, this is a question I like to ask all of the guests. I have it's sort of like a that's not really a two-parter. There's two questions I like to ask all the guests. This is one of them. So PPC Ninja started, I believe you said in 2018?
Yes, the we had a software prior to the agency, but
Mm,
the agency started in 2020.
okay. So since then, which is believe it or
Yeah.
not, quite a long time ago. It's very scary to think that COVID started 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But since then, what are some of the biggest shifts in not only just advertising, but really in e-commerce that you've seen? You've got a lot of things, I think, like the evolution of AI and all that stuff. But what have you noticed in the PPC world and in the e-commerce world that has shifted since you began on this journey?
Right. Yeah, I would say the biggest shift has been the exponential growth of China, and it's just knocking everybody
Right.
out and leaving very few Western brands standing because the market share is taken by China. TikTok came, Shein came, Temu came in this period. Um, so all of these kind of cheaper, better ways of selling goods has taken over the market, and the traditional ways of working on Amazon or selling on Amazon have kind of been overshadowed by these newer ways, like live shopping or just the whole idea of like influencer based, UGC based content, and just having a direct way of checking out from an app like TikTok, this was not there. It's all new in the past 5 years.
Right.
And yeah, I think it's fascinating the way these brands have completely changed the way we shop online. And so I think that it's caused a lot of anguish and people have lost their market share. Not only that, they've also had to deal with margin compression from Amazon. Like Amazon is taking more and more of your share, giving you more and more like fees and whatnot. And then you have to deal with lost market share, and then you have to compete with some of the best marketers in the world,
Right.
Chinese people. They are
Right.
so good.
Yep.
Like you can't beat them.
Yeah.
They're so good. I'm addicted to like a lot of content from China on Instagram. I don't really go on TikTok
Interesting.
that much. I do for myself a little bit, but I just love the content creation mentality, like and the scale. It's that
Oh yeah.
whole Shenzhen style of like thousands,
Yep.
5,000s. It's like those large numbers that most people can't even imagine, having 5,000 people selling your product
Yeah.
all at once in one room. Every corner is like a light bulb, and you're just selling live streaming.
Yep.
So yeah,
It
I think that's probably in my mind the biggest shift in the way we sell products.
They definitely have become a huge competitor, and with all this stuff about tariffs and whatnot. I was, worried that, that would or I guess maybe not worried, I don't know. It's hard to phrase it correctly, but I was worried that might knock some of them out,
Hmm.
from the people that
Yeah.
buy or even the people that just buy from China. I know that now it's all settled and it's all less extreme, but, it was very interesting to see and to wonder, God forbid something happened to all of the factories over in China, what would we do? The world would come to a standstill. Um, it'd be very, very interesting. So, again, same thing, as much as they're
Yeah.
they're dominating, as much as they're kind of taking over a lot of US as much as they've taken over a lot of US manufacturing jobs, they're in a point now where we need them.
Mm. Yeah.
And so it's very interesting. But I have not seen and now that we talked about it, now that you mentioned it, and my phone I'm sure heard it. I'm gonna get some Chinese marketing videos on my feed. I'm sure that's just how it works. They are always listening. So, um,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Ritu, I want to thank you so much for coming on and joining me as a member as a guest of the podcast. Um,
Thank
I
you.
mentioned, yeah, of course. I mentioned I had 2 questions that
Mhm.
were I always like to ask. I always like to
Yeah.
go on what has changed since you've been around in the PPC and the e-commerce space. And then I always like to look forward. So what's next for PPC Ninja? What's next for you in the e-commerce space? What are you working on that you can share with us and give us a glimpse on kind of what's on the horizon?
Yeah, so I'm very, very aligned with AI, and I know that my organization will be lean. It'll continue to be leaner as we go forward because I am transferring a lot of the manual work that we've done so far into kind of automation, right? So, switching from manual to automation was always my focus, but now it's going to be accelerated because now I have these minions literally at my disposal that I can use and say, hey, do this, do this. So I'm not in any way restricted. If I want to achieve like 80% automation, I could. Maybe the only bottleneck at this point is me, or maybe the people who actually use the AI tools to kind of generate code that does the automation. So I would say that I'll probably have an organization that is, I would say, highly automated with the human oversight and a lean company that will hopefully survive and thrive in this ever changing landscape with conversational e-commerce.
Yeah. Love it. Great answer. Thank you so much. Well, seriously, thank you so
Yeah,
really thank you a lot for coming on and for talking to me about all these
of
different things.
course.
One of the things I say is that this podcast is no longer for the audience. It's really for me to learn things. I really feel like I learned a lot today. So I really appreciate you speaking with me and
Thanks so much.
educating me a little bit more on AI and all that and PPC Ninja. So
Appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much. Nice being here.
yeah. I will have Ritu's LinkedIn down below, along with PPC Ninja's homepage and the link to subscribe to the PPC Ninja newsletter, which focuses all on AI for e-commerce, amongst other things. And any other links that Ritu will let me know to put in the description down below. So make sure you check out the YouTube description. And thank you all for watching. I am your host, Velocity Pete, and we will see you next week.